Hello everybody, hope you're having another blessed day. In today's video, we're going to be having a discussion going through the mindset of a Dark Warrior player. Now, something I like to do when I have some free time, I like to go through YouTube and check for myself what some other people are playing in their own Dark Warrior variants, okay? But something that always seems to come to my mind when I'm watching all these different videos is some mistakes some people are making, okay? And these are mistakes that I want to share with you guys, so if you guys do want to pick up this deck, you can play it to the best of your abilities. So with that in mind, let's get into it. So, the first thing you need to consider when you do want to pick up this Dark Warrior variant, or any variant of Dark Warriors, is what kind of deck do you want to play, okay? And this usually comes down to about 2 to 3 different types of, well, Dark Warriors. One, like the one I typically play with Caliuga, is making some type of board that makes it unplayable for your opponent to respond, and basically have the scoop, okay? So basically, an unbreakable board. That's what Dark Warrior is known for. Alright, so yeah, this one here kind of torpedoes out Dark Warrior, some Editor Negates, and basically makes them skip the turn, you OTK the second turn. It's also similar to one I have here, kind of like FDK, but it's not what it used to be. But this is one that used to end on Exterio, ends with also a Lost Warrior of another planet, and a Dingarisu with protection still on it. So basically, no spells and traps, cannot summon, and I got 1 pot protection, okay? Which is, yeah, basically unplayable for your opponent. Another variant you may play against, so if you're playing Dark Warriors, this one makes like 6-7 negates, the one ends like a 3 or 4 pip Appaloosa, Double Dragoon, may have Exterio, Savage Scrap Dragon, you know the whole variant, okay? You have something like that. And the last one being is one that basically tries to either FTK your opponent, and this can be done by either hand looping your opponent, drawing Exodia, or burning your opponent for game, which are still live and available in this game format, though it does usually get beat by a hand trap. So yeah, the first thing you need to decide is what variant you're going to play, because if you don't play one of those 3 variants, there's a good chance you'll just goof around Dark Warrior, not really going for the win, which you know is fine with you, but if you want to play Dark Warrior to best of your ability, you need to play one of those 3 variants. Now, on to the second thing I want to talk to you guys about, which sometimes always seems to be one of my pet peeves when I'm watching people make their Dark Warrior deck profiles, is choosing the right card to use as your combo starters or extenders, okay? Now, something I see a lot is people want to use either Vision Hero Vion, use the Marauding Captain, or Goblinberg. And I'm going to tell you, all 3 of these cards, in my opinion, are kind of outdated. Yes, you can probably understand why Goblinberg and Marauding Captain are outdated, mainly because, well, they require another monster in your hand to get to your 2 warriors and Docility full combo. So I basically specifically pick my own cards for 1-card combos that are actual 1-card combos, okay? So all these cards, those 2 right there, are definitely no-go, should not be playing with any kind of Dark Warrior variant deck. Now, the reason why I do not like Vision Hero Vion is basically because Malicious is at 2. When Malicious was at 3, I'll say this is probably one of your better cards, even though it does take up 6 spots in your deck. But it does help you get into your 4 combo, and you can help you extend back further on and get like a multiple pip Appaloosa as like an extra spicy bonus. But now since Malicious is at 2, if you ever do draw Malicious, guess what? Your combo is deck, and Vision Hero Vion is also a no-go. Now I do know, let's see here, if I can remember this card's name, Shadow Mist. You can also play a Shadow Mist variant, which then requires you to also play a Polymerization. And if you use this, if you basically go Vision Hero Vion, you send Shadow Mist, I believe you can add the Malicious to your hand, also let you add a Polymerization to your hand, and you can also get into a Dangerous. Okay? And at that point, you also get to discard 1 more card, and you can basically send this hero monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard if you wanted to. But at that point, you would typically send Malicious over to the graveyard by Polymerization, and you can just banish it in and get your Editor Malicious out, which is, pretty good, Basically get your Dangerous with no Malicious, yada yada, thin out your deck, that's cool. But looking at how many cards this requires. If you want to play a Vision Hero Vion that does not ever break on a Malicious, you're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards. 7 cards in your deck, where 4 of them are basically bricks and only 3 are the 1-card starters, okay? So 7 cards in any kind of common variant deck is a lot of space. And considering some other stuff you can play and what I do personally play myself, there's also some better options. Now, Some better options, at least I'll talk about the first one before I get into my two favorite ones, is going to be Sublimation Knight. Sublimation Knight is a pretty cheap card, and it requires only 3 Sublimation Knights and 1 Squeak Knight. Alright, and this is one I typically is not able to get Ash, cause, ready for this, it does not special summon. Yeah, some people may try to Ash this card and say, sorry, it doesn't. It actually just equips Squeak Knight from your deck or hand to this card. So yeah, it is Ash proof, great to know. So it does help you get into that. And then Squeak Knight has an effect that once per turn you can target it. It makes it special summon it, and look, you got your 2 warriors. So yeah, very efficient card. Now, reason why I'm not the biggest fan of it, because all it really does is give me 2 warriors, okay? And I like using Sentinel ones to give me that little extra oomph, alright? So, the one that usually makes it the best one, without doubt, is going to be Connector. If you're playing any warrior-based deck, period, it doesn't have to be Dark Warrior. You have to be playing Connector. Mainly because Connector is, in my opinion, the most OP normal summon in the game. Because not only does it give you 2 warriors to any 4 combo based around an Isolde, but once you do get Aqua Dolphin out, it gives you the hand advantage of knowing exactly what's in your opponent's hand and able to take out the hand traps or bait it out. So typically, your opponent's always going to either Ash or Ghost or Gamma the Connector, and if they don't, then they are probably smoking some grass. Because if Dolphin does get out and you do get to see their hand, there's a good chance you're going to win 99% of the time unless they have a Nibiru. Now, the other variant I'll say probably the second best right now. It's actually going to be the Phantom Knights package. Now, I say this because I'm one that does play with Kali-Yuga, and I do need to use this rank up spell. If you are not playing the rank up and going for Kali-Yuga, I'll say that the Squeak Knight and Sublimation Knight combo is probably your one you want to use with your Space Connector, not only to save room in your deck, but also because, well, you basically get the same out of it that you would previously. Now, reason why I like Torn Scale. One, it has the fact I can discard a card to send a Phantom Knights from my deck to the grave. On this combo, I will typically send Ancient Cloak to the graveyard. Alright, and use the effect, I would then add, after that banish shot, I either add Stray Brigading to my hand, if I already have Silent Boots in my hand, or I just add Silent Boots from my deck to my hand, and now I'll be able to special summon Silent Boots from my hand. And then I got my 2 warriors. What's cool basically off of this is that once I use Torn Scale and Silent Boots to get to my Isolde, I can also then banish my Silent Boots to get my rank up pretty early on, and then Torn Scales will activate and special summon, give me an extra body to use when I get to my Plague Exploder combo, and it guarantees I get to an Appaloosa of each 2 pips. Okay, so yeah, Torn Scale by itself basically gets me to Appaloosa in my combo. When I was using this new Space Connector, if I do not have an extender, I'm unable to get to Appaloosa, and I do have to just do the combo of banishing High Firebacks to get like a Core Dragon for an extra pop next turn. But yeah, still pretty good. So yeah, that's kind of considering what kind of normal summons you should play. In the tier list, Connector is obviously the best. If you're playing any kind of like rank up spells or anything of Phantom Knights, I'll say definitely then you should be playing the Phantom Knights package, including all these cards. Which be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the same as would be the Vision of Vion. However, I say this is more beneficial because one, this does include extenders. That will get you into more extenders instead of being trapped behind these. Because necessarily, only one of these cards is dead. Up here, 3 out of these cards are dead. You can use Shadow Mist to extend. You have an War extender. But yeah, still pretty nice. And of course, I'll say the last one, if you're not playing a Phantom Knights based deck, that you need to also play Sublimation Knight to go with your Connector. It is, as I say again, unashable, okay, which is pretty nice to say. But yeah, that's just its number 2 reason. There was more that I need to tell you guys about Dark Warrior. Alright, so the next part we're going to be talking about now is picking what equipped spells to use for Isolde. Because typically you will be sending, in the most Dark Warrior based decks, 4 equipped spells to summon out Armageddon Knight or something similar to that. Okay, so again, this is based on your preference. If you're playing some kind of like Inferno Knight, you probably won't send 4 equipped spells to the graveyard, which is great if you're playing that variant. But we're doing Dark Warrior, and Dark Warrior base is always to get an Armageddon Knight or Dark Grepher to usually send out your tuner, which is going to be Plague Spreader. So you're going to need 4. Okay. Now, starting off, the one you're always going to try to send is going to be Phoenix Blade, because this is kind of the whole card. Everyone says Names gets banned, it's not once per turn. It probably should, but you know what? Only deck that's really abusing it is Dark Warrior, so it doesn't really need to get banned until Dark Warrior takes over again, which I will say it definitely can. But yeah, first one will be Divine Sword. You'll play it at 1 because you're only going to use the one version of it, and you'll recur it by like 5-6 times per turn. And you're also going to play DDR, okay? So you will be trying to send usually at least one DDR if you really want to. Now, I will say this is one you would play multiples of, but we'll talk about later in the video about the multiples of DDR and how many you should be playing. Now, up here are just some editor or quit spells I've seen people use and I've personally used, and I'll tell you which ones I think are good, which ones you should be using, and which ones, it's kind of up to you. Now, I'll say you should definitely be using Infernal Arms Durandal as one of your quit spells to use, and I'll say you should be playing at least 2 of these cards. Mainly being, you're always going to want to send one from your deck for Isolides to get rid of. And also, you want to still have the chance to draw it, so this isn't one you can maybe put at 3 if you really had the space for it, but at least 2, because Durandal is a card that as long as there's no monster on the field, you can equip it to a monster, use its effect, and you can get out level 1 through 5 Fire Warrior monster. Now, 2 cards you're going to be using, the one, of course, is going to be the Fire Flint Lady. Alright? The Fire Flint Lady has the effect that if you control a warrior monster, you can dispel summon this card from your hand. Then you can send this card from your field to graveyard, dispel summon level 4 lower warrior monster from your hand. Also, you won't really use that combo, but it is to help you get that extender out on the board. So yeah, this is basically just an extender for your deck. So, Durandal, I'll say at least 2 of these cards to make sure you have one decking this in, and still have the chance if you do draw one, gets you that extender. So Durandal for sure. Now, another card that Durandal can search, and this is the only time you'll pick this card, is when you're going to be trying to go, so if you're going second, and this is going to be Super Quantum. Okay? Super Quantum Red Layer. So you grab you right here. So Super Quantum Red Layer is kind of like that Photon Thrasher, except that it has 100 less attack, and basically the same situation. It's 5 stars, so you can special summon it if you control no monsters, alright? Pretty good card. You can still search it off of Durandal. So this actually is a card I am still kind of thinking, should I use this card? Only reason I'm not using it is because I do like having the extra 100 attack to kind of hit with Aqua Dolphin, and I also like how Thrasher is a level 4, which does help me get onto an early rank 4, which helps me dodge like the Nibiru by chance. Because I know if my opponent has no negates and have a monster attack less than 2,000 attack or less, all they have, as long as I have a no level 4 in my hand and a Thrasher, I can go straight to those 2, rank up into Double Nothing, which is my 3rd summon, and use the effect into Utopia Double. Attack of 10k, only 4 summons, it's OTK. That's why I still keep Thrasher in the deck, just to make sure, if I do have the opportunity, I can execute that. Because if I had Thrasher, I'll still have to go through the whole combo, and it does leave me open for Nibiru in that situation. Alright, so Durandal for sure. I'll break you down here as the yeses. Now, I know when I see people using it, I'll say the first one's going to be definitely a no. It's going to be Autonomous Action Unit. Now, this one is a card that basically says you can pay 1,500 life points, target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, spell summon that monster. The reason why I don't like this is that it requires your opponent to have a monster in the graveyard. Alright, only times you're going first, opponents don't have a monster in the graveyard if they have a quick play, or to use the hand trap. Alright? So why should I be playing a card just dependent on my opponent having the action to against me? Okay? It's terrible. Alright, now it's good going second, sure, but Dark Warrior is more of a going first base deck, so using a card that's reliant on going second, or your opponent having an action to one of yours, is pretty bad. I still see people using this card, and I was just like, well, it sometimes comes up. I seriously doubt it, because every time I watch a replay, they're always just sending this card to the graveyard off by Sully's effect. So why just have a card in your deck if you're not really going to use it, okay? So Autonomous, don't use it. Now, Axe of Fools, I'm kind of on the fence about it. And I'm going to say, you could, it's situation, it's not bad, but you shouldn't. Because it's only a good card if you're going second, similar to Autonomous. Because one, most times you're just going to send this by Soul Day, so you're not really getting anything out of it, just as fodder for a Soul Day. And the only time it's good is if you're going second, because going first, you can't target one of your opponent's monsters. And it's good going second, because you can just equip this to an Apollosa, and negate all of Apollosa's effect, or to a Boar Sword, or, Savage Dragon, you name it. You equip it, and negates that monster's effect. It's pretty nice in that regard. but besides that, it's not really doing much for you. And soon to autonomous, you know, if you draw it going first, it's dead. Now, next one is Horned Unicorn. This is one I recently cut from my deck, mainly because I didn't need it anymore, but I'll say this is still a pretty good option. The reason why I like Horned Unicorn, and I feel like more people could potentially be playing it if they don't have these other options later in the game I'm going to show you, is because it helps you unbrick yourself. And by unbrick, I mean if you draw too many quit spells, you can't use like Soul Day, go to Armageddon Night, and you're going to have to pass or lose the game basically. However, if you do draw Horned Unicorn and still have your 2 warriors, if you equip Horned Unicorn to any of those 2 warriors before you go to Ice Day, when you do link up into Ice Day, Horned Unicorn is going to activate in Resolution, also kind of be a Chain Link 1 or Chain Link 2 as Ice Day, and it will be going back to the top of your deck. So then you can still have it in your deck to send later on Ice Day's effect, so make sure it always has a chance to go back to your deck, which I like a lot about this card. Now, the reason why I don't like it is because all it does is boost attack by 700 attack and defense. And there is a card in here I will say is a better version, okay? We'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, Horned Unicorn, it's okay, but it's not the top tier for what it's given to us of a card always being able to go back by Soul Day. Now, another one I'll say is actually a pretty good card, and you're welcome to play it if you want to, is Living Fossil. I like this one a lot more, mainly because you can play it going first or going second. All this card basically does is that you can target one level 4 little monster in your graveyard and special summon that card. It's basically like a Monster Reborn as a quit spell. That's great to have. And why it's better than Autonomous for sure is because guess what? You can target your own cards, and I guarantee you're going to have a level 4 in the graveyard going first or going second. If you're going first, and let's say you start off with let's say a Connector, and you summon out Aqua Dolphin, and then they Ghost Ogre or Gamma Aqua Dolphin. Okay? At that point, I'll go into the graveyard, but then if you did draw into Living Fossil, you can then bring it back out, activate this effect again if you wanted to, and then you can also still build again to Ice Day. So it helps you kind of continue comboing off if you do get hit by a hand trap going first. And same thing going second, if your one card gets negated and destroyed, you can just bring it right back. So Living Fossil, I mean, it's a pretty good card. I'll actually put it down here as a card you can definitely play in your deck. Now, I'll say the next one is going to be the better version of Horned Unicorn. It has all the same effects, except you have to pay 500 life points to put it back on your deck. But this card basically makes one of your monsters unkillable by battle. Because it has the effect that equipped monsters will always have 100 attack or 100 defense higher than your opponent's attack or your opponent's defense monster, okay? I like that a lot more than, well, Horned Unicorn, because who cares about 700 attack and defense if I still can't kill the monster? If I have Moon Mirror Shield, guess what? It doesn't matter. I'm still going to smash the heck out of that card. So definitely play Moon Mirror Shield just because of that regard. It is a better Horned Unicorn. And I still see people using that, and that is a great choice. And I will also say this is one, if you're going first, you will typically always send to the graveyard. Alright. Now, if you're going second, you may not send to the graveyard, and you may actually draw, and if you draw, that's great, because guess what? If they have an Appaloosa on the board, and that's all they have on the board, you just got to summon anything, equip it with Moonfield Shield, and you just smash the heck out of that Appaloosa, and guess what? You're free to combo off in main phase 2, and then you get your unbeatable board, you win the game, okay? So Moonmirror Shield helps you break those kind of really sketchy boards, just like if you have, it's a great bait for Saving Dragoon. They have to negate that, because no matter what monster you summon, it will be able to punch over Dragoon. So this is the free Dragoon negate. And if it gets destroyed, guess what? It goes back top of your deck. You can still ISO it later on. Next one is an older card people have used when this kind of all originated. Snowball On's Afterdur. And again, I'll say it's pretty bad, this like autonomous, because all it does is that basically most opponent loses, I think, 500 attack, and then you can target one set card your opponent controls and destroy it. So yeah, because it requires your opponent to actually have a card set somehow, and only good if you're going second, do not use this card. We're going to skip the last one and go to Overturn Barrel. And I'll say this one is kind of up there with Living Fossil, but I feel like you should definitely use Living Fossil before you use this card. And I don't really like this one because this has the effect by discard one monster. Target one monster in your grave whose level is lower than that discard monster's original level, especially with that card. And then its effects negated. The reason why I don't like that is because it's not as an even out. With Living Fossil, it's basically a 1-for-1. This here is a 2-for-1 because you also have to discard a monster and only have a monster in the graveyard that matches up, it's not always live. Alright? So do not play Overdone Burial. It's not going to be working out the best you have. And when I've seen people play this card, they're not using it, okay? They're using Living Fossil. They're not using Overdone Burial. This card's typically in the graveyard after using Isolde's effect. And then the last one, I'd say, is probably the best card. I'm going to move it down here in advance. You guys probably think I'm crazy, and if you think I'm crazy, then you're crazy, okay? Sword of Deep-Seated is probably the best equipped spell to send to grave by Isolde. Yes, I said it. You may not believe me. You may click off, but I'll tell you why. One, Sword of Deep-Seated, no matter how it's sent to the graveyard, it's always going to activate. Alright? Let's say if I go into, let's just start the base one. If I have it in my hand, I can equip it to a monster. It goes to the graveyard. Guess what? It's back on top. It's mandatory. It'd be a chain one. Alright? But what happens if I send it again off of Isolde's effect? Well, if I send it to graveyard again, based after the effect, guess what? It goes back to the top. And no matter how many times I keep sending to the graveyard, it's always going to go back into my deck. And what's great about that is during your second turn. First turn, you go first, you make an unbeatable board, and typically has some leftover cards to go for the OTK. But what if they end on a card that can't be destroyed by battle? Which happens a couple times, you're like, how did I beat over this? Because after that one turn opponent, you basically have a bunch of strong monsters, no monster negates really left. Well, as long as you have two warriors, you can go into a second Isolde you'll have in your deck, and guess what? Fireflint Lady is only a level 1. So as long as you have one quit spell in your deck, you can keep on using Isolde's effect. And guess what? Sword of Deep-Seated will always be shuffled back into the deck, which guarantees you'll have at least one quit spell to send to get out your one Fireflint Lady you would probably be playing free in your deck. To guarantee you have enough for a link free, which would be a Nightmare Unicorn or Phoenix, whatever you need, and you'll be able to bounce that card. So yeah, that comes up a lot more than you would believe. Sword of Deep-Seated, definitely play. Now, out of all of these, I do not typically play Living Fossil, because I feel like, it's not really needed, but it definitely could be. But these are the 5 quit spells you should probably be using, including this one could be 6. Definitely playing these 6 at least, if you're playing Dark Warrior. But yeah, that's enough with the quit spells. Let's go on to the next part of Dark Warrior comboing. Alright, so now for the next part is what to do once you do get into lovey good old Halky Fabrics, typically done right now in Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Thanks to Plex for a Zombie or some other random tuner you summon out thanks to Armageddon Eye effect being broken. Now, this is actually going to be the one that has one of my biggest pet peeves because a lot of people, and I do mean a lot of people, maybe even you is watching the video, all like to use Power Tool Dragon. Now, Power Tool Dragon was a pretty cool card back in the days, but guess what? It is most certainly outdated. Let me tell you why. Alright, so starting off, after you get out Armageddon Knight, you'll have Armageddon Knight typically on the board with a Halky Fibrax, and you need to get into basically level 3 to get your DDR, so you can eventually start comboing off, okay? It's level 3 Tunels. Now, one I've been seeing people a lot of times use is going to be Red Rose Dragon, and it's not a bad card at all, okay? Red Rose Dragon, when it is used, basically you use this card along with Armageddon Knight to go into Power Tool Dragon. Once it goes, you can then special summon out from your deck White Rose Dragon. Not bad at all, you get extra extender. What I don't like about it is, well, basically White Rose Dragon will be kind of a brick. Okay? So let's see here. Yeah, you can special from your hand or deck, but it's taking up an extra spot. Okay, so right now, think about this. Instead of having one tuner, because as to the Arborea, a random hand trap, or Vine Cube, this requires you to have 2 spots in your deck. And I don't like expending 2 spots in my deck if all I'm going to get out of it is an extra extender, really, in a sense. Okay? So I'm not a fan of that. Also, if I'm playing this version, and I'm going into Power Tool Dragon, it's going to require me to play 3 DDRs, okay? I need to have most of them as possible, so hopefully I do not send one by Isolde's effect. And also, I will either draw one or something to help me out there in that regard. So I'll go into Power Tool Dragon, use his effect, and I'll try to get out one of DDRs, okay? Now sometimes if I draw too many quit spells, I'm going to have to send one of my DDRs to the graveyard in advance for Isolde. So sometimes, when you go for a Power Tool Dragon, you're only going to be able to reveal 2 DDRs and some random and a quit spell. So you're leaving yourself to a lower, or at least not 100% chance of getting DDR, which I'm not a big fan of. I like that 100% chance, mainly because my luck is terrible. And my luck would be someone who would give me back like Moon Mirror Shield. And then my combo would be dead. Now, another card people use is going to be Crusader Aurora, mainly because you can spell summon as any time opponent that you link summon to. It's basically like the same regard as the Red Rose. If you draw it, when you do get into Haki Fibrax, you can spell summon a different tuner instead of Aurora, and basically get 2 monsters on the board. It's nice. Then also put Ash Blossom up here, and this could be any of your Edo level 3 tuner hand traps, mainly because most likely you'll be playing this card anyway. So why waste space for one of your Edo tuners if you're just going to have a free tuner anyways, multiple copies of, we'll have one in your deck, and it still help you get into Power Dragon. Now, reason why I don't like this. Let's count the DDRs you're required to use. You're required to use 3 DDRs, and then one of these tuners, okay? So at least you'll be playing is 4 cards to get into, just to help you get that 1 DDR back. However, if you play Vion Cube only requires you to, I'll say, guaranteed 2 DDRs, as it just deletes all my DDRs. But yeah, only requires you to use 2 DDRs, which is pretty nice, mainly because, well, it's one less card than all these other versions have you play. Also, what's great about this combo is that it has the effect when it's integrated to spell summon a light monster, it lets you add that card to your deck to your hand. So the light monster you'll be picking is Dawn Dragster. What's huge about this, that unlike your boy Power Dragon just becomes a random body to link off with later on in the game, Dawn Dragster is a spell and trap negate. So not only do you get your DDR to your hand, not only do you save that one spot in your deck, you can put stuff in Arsenal, like Upstart Goblin, like Called by the Grave, Instant Fusion, Harpy's Fairy Duster, you name it. It gives you a spell and trap negate. And why I say this is huge, that if you're playing my combo, the Dark Warrior combo, typically you do only set 1 card in the field, and it's going to be your rank up spell. Alright? What's scary about that is that during your opponent's standby phase, if they top deck a Cosmic or Twin Twister, they can activate during the standby phase and pop the card, which will typically ruin your combo because this can only be activated in the main phase. However, since we do play Dawn Dragster, this can be activated in response and gives you that extra protection even if during the standby phase they open up the Cosmic, you can negate it, protect the rank up, and continue on to the main phase to activate it to win the game. So this is because Power Dragon leaves with nothing later on, and because we do get a free negate using the Vion Cube, definitely use Vion Cube. Do not use the Red Rose, or the White Rose, or the Crusadia, or even if you're playing those extra hand traps, don't use it. You need to use Vion Cube. Okay? So stay with me. Vion Cube, Dark Warriors. This also means we are retiring Power Dragon. We're going for Dawn Dragster. Alright, so yeah. That kind of tells you what you need to be doing now if you're trying to play with the High Fibrax combo. Definitely go out for Vion Cube. Saves you room in your deck, and also helps you get a free negate. Alright, so on to the next little part to talk about. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to be talking about is kind of how you can try to play against those Nibiru's, those hand traps, try to play against those. And typically people have been using the drag down into the grave in exchange, which is perfectly fine and well. However, it's what they're playing also in the deck, which kind of spooks me a little bit, okay? Not so much drag down. Drag down will always be fine, so it does have the chance of opponent drawing a card. That's not really the problem. The problem's going to be when you're playing exchange, but also playing going second cards like Ash Blossom, Nibiru, and Infinite Permanence. Now, 2 of the 3 of these cards is one you should never use in combination with exchange. Mainly being, 1, you won't be able to get rid of this card from your hand by the time you need to activate exchange to try to look at their hand. Because if you do, guess what? If you try to take their Nibiru, they're just going to take an Ash Blossom and Nibiru back from you. And guess what? Either of these cards can easily just destroy your whole combo and you lose the game. So you do not want to play exchange if you're playing also Nibiru. And Ash Blossom, you want to play it in like rotation basically. Either one's in the side or one's in the main. You flip flop and depending if you're going first or second. Now only one that goes against this is going to be Infinite Impermanence. Mainly being, before you activate exchange, guess what? You can just set the Infinite Impermanence and then activate exchange so they can't even take it and they won't know you have it in your hand. Or had it in your hand, and later on you can activate it on their turn. So kind of saves you that chance of giving them a hand trap. So if you really want to play hand traps and you really want to play exchange, guess what? You need to play Infinite Impermanence to make sure you do not give your opponent a hand trap on accident. And that rare chance it does come out. Because trust me, if you play Ash Blossom in exchange, it's going to happen up that one time you really wanted to win. You want to take that Nibiru because you saw it because of Near Space Connector, Aqua Dolphin. But guess what? Because you didn't have Infinite Permanence instead, you lose the game. Alright. Well, with that, I think there's going to be one more thing we're going to be talking about before we end up the video. Now, how we're going to end up the video is talking about one more thing that I've seen people do playing Dark Warrior based decks, or any deck like it, is what they make in their end board, okay? Because a lot of times they make a ton of negate boards, they don't really care about what monsters they have out there, and it leaves them open to a couple of cards, okay? Some of these cards being Dark Ruler No More. So let's switch back to that, okay? Now, Dark Ruler No More is a card that basically says negate all effects of face-up monster your opponent controls. Now, this is very scary in most decks, mainly because if they just have a ton of monsters get those negated, like the Appaloosa, the Savage, whatnot. If they play Dark Ruler No More, guess what? It negates everything. However, in this version of Dark Warriors, when I'm playing, you can always change rank up Magic Launch to the activation of Dark Ruler No More to special summon out your Kali Yuga. Now, Kali Yuga, you may think, oh, we will get negated by Dark Ruler. Guess what? It does not. In chain resolution of the chain, his effect is that after it is summoned, okay? It's not once summoned, anything like that. This effect does not activate. If this card is summoned, it's live, okay? So after rank up resolves, he will actually have been summoned and his effect will now be live, and it will in response negate the activation of Dark Ruler No More. Similar to how someone summons, basically plays a Mystic Mine. If someone plays Mystic Mine, and you respond by summoning out Kali Yuga, guess what? You just negated Mystic Mine. Which is a pretty good card, and people do get upset when I play it against them, like, nuh-uh, his effect activates. I'm sorry, you can look it up. It has been ruled, his effect does not activate, and it is a lingering effect, even if it gets bounced or leaves the field due to a kaiju later on in the game. So that's one thing to consider, Dark Ruler No More. Now, another thing that kills a lot of Dark Warrior decks I've seen is Super Poly. Super Poly is a very great card, especially if like Invoke being a deck right now, Eldritch being a deck. You know, dark monsters typically get destroyed. And our dark monster we do not ever want to get destroyed is Big Eye, because this is our only target to get out to Kali Yuga in all versions of our deck. And other ones, like say, I think it's like Savage Dragon, here's a dark monster, if they're playing some other dark monsters, you know, you're going to lose them all, which is pretty scary. However, in this variant, we kept track of what we summon, and guess what? We only have we have 3 lights, a wind, and a dark, so we cannot get hit by a Super Poly to take away at least our target for Kali Yuga. Now, they can do Mud Dragon, and Mud Dragon can take out our Spell and Trap Negate, and also a Kaiser or Utopia, and they can take out those. But all that's really doing is taking out a Spell and Trap Negate. We were going to negate anyways with rank up if we needed to, and it takes out our big body, which we don't really need since it cannot attack directly. That'll still leave us with a monster negates if we have it, another warrior to attack directly if we need to, or to help go into a Isolate Unicorn combo later on, and we still have Kali Yuga potential going on. So keep that in mind, depending on what board you make. If you're going to play Kali Yuga, be aware to make sure your board ends in a way that helps you dodge Super Poly. This is so you know you don't get upset, and it kind of reduces the chance. Because right now, the only thing that really beats this board that I've noticed consistently is basically activate, let's say, a Dark Ruler No More, and then chaining a Forbidden Droplet, so 2 cards to stop my board. Or another card that really hurts this one is a Kaiju. The King Kaiju to Big Eyes, and just go for that real quick, which turns off Kali Yuga completely, so Kaijus are really bad. And then the last one, the card I wish would get banned, and I will be talking in the future video about my ban list predictions. It's July is the next one, I believe, is going to be Zeus. Mainly because they can just attack into our Dawn Dragster or to any of our monsters, take that battle damage of the playing Zodiacs, and guess what? They go straight up into the Zeus after that. It's not an activated effect, so we can't even stop it with Bogardas, and nor will it be stopped by Kali Yuga, which is very unfortunate because all those effects that keep climbing up into Zeus activate in the extra deck. And guess what? Once it's our turn, they can just activate Zeus, pop every single card we have, and then we're all sad boy for sure. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on with Dark Warriors. Now, with that, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you learned a lot about Dark Warriors. Is anything else you want me to kind of explain more Dark Warriors about some of the downsides, when you should get you should be watching out to get hand trap, when you should activate what and when to come on. Just comment down below and I'll try to go more in depth with you about that. But yeah, if you found this helpful or if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It guys helps you support me and helps me make more videos for you to enjoy. And also, if there's another deck you want me to go more in depth about how to play and what cards to use instead, to turn like the best variant of it, just comment down below. I'll do some research, see if I can make you a video about that. Now, since it is in the video, you know it's time for me to say, I hope the rest of the week is blessed, and I hope to see you again in the next video. And with that in mind, I'm out.